guys, happy Tuesday. It's Joe, and it's time for Pocket with Joe. Now, say I was disappointed in the New York Rangers last night was a complete understatement. I don't know what they're even doing out there. The New Jersey Devils were so much faster than them in all aspects of the game last night. They controlled the neutral zone. They controlled both ends of the ice. Now, Igor Shesterkin still had a strong night, but the New York Rangers just weren't able to score. They weren't able to get anything done. Smith came out so strong for the Devils. 4-0, another shutout win for the New Jersey Devils, moving on to take on the Carolina Hurricanes. So it's going to be one heck of a battle there. Carolina much stronger defensively, so we'll see how that series goes. We'll break that one down when that one kicks off. But tonight, we're finally at round two. We've got some great games tonight. The Florida Panthers taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Seattle Kraken taking on the Dallas Stars. Now, both of these series are going to be phenomenal. I don't see either of these two series here, one of these teams sweeping. I do think these are competitive. The Florida Panthers, I think, will be able to stay competitive with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I do think the Seattle Kraken will be able to stay competitive with the Dallas Stars. It's going to be really interesting to see these series unfold. We know the Seattle Kraken, they will want to play like they did versus the Avs, really limiting the Dallas Stars here, holding them to a lower scoring game. I think the Florida Panthers and the Toronto Maple Leafs, both these teams can win in a high or lower scoring game. Both goaltenders have been strong. Both defenses have been strong. But I do think the heart of both of those teams is their offense. Where I look at the Kraken, I think the heart right now is goaltending and defense. They had the lower scoring average over the first round of the playoffs. And then when we look at the Dallas Stars, I think they could win it either way. So if the Kraken decide to explode offensively, the Dallas Stars can play a very similar game. I do think they would prefer to play a defensive game, though, looking at a lower scoring a series between those two as well. So I want to thank you guys. I see everyone jumping in. Can the Kraken continue their hot streak? That's going to be really interesting to see if they can versus the Dallas Stars. We know the Dallas Stars have the rest advantage. Raven is all over those Kraken with you, Joe. Kraken are good on the road also. You're liking their team total over. See, I think their team total has to stay under for them to get the win. You're predicting 3-2 Raven for the Seattle Kraken. If it's a 3-2 one, Raven, I'm going to be honest, I really think it's 3-2 for the Dallas Stars. I think it could be 2-1 for the Seattle Kraken. So let's break down what I'm thinking in these games and how I'm coming to these conclusions. We have the first one, the Florida Panthers taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, we know both of these teams coming in of such big, impactful round ones. The Florida Panthers, no one expected them to be here, getting the win over the Boston Bruins in Game 7 in Boston. That was absolutely phenomenal to see. 4-3 win for the Florida Panthers. Now, we saw answer-back kind of goals in both of those. Alex Lyon has been phenomenal for the Florida Panthers. He has a .912 save percentage with the 2.89 goals against average. And we look at Samsonov coming in here for the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Leafs are coming in off that win over the Lightning. They got it done in 6. The last game was super low scoring, 2-1 win for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I was really impressed to see them be able to win in such a low scoring fashion. Now Samsonov has a 2.33 goals against average with a .919 a save percentage. So both of these goalies have been outstanding. Both defenses have been solid as well. We did see the Florida Panthers be able to put up 31 shots on goal in their last game versus the Boston Bruins. And we saw the Toronto Maple Leafs be limited to only 22 shots on goal in that game versus the Lightning that they did still come up with the win. So we're going to be able to see how strong the Florida Panthers defense can really lock down the Toronto Maple Leafs in this one. I don't think they can do what the Lightning were able to do in that last game, really limit Toronto here. I do think, because I think the heart of these teams is offensively, that we are going to see what we saw between Florida Panthers, the Florida Panthers and the Boston Bruins, and the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning in those first periods, where we have highly fast first periods. I do think Florida has a little bit of edge offensively with their speed that we've seen them play so far in the playoffs. So I do think you look at that first period over 1.5. I also think, you guys know I love that both teams to score prop. We've been cashing that this year. I do think both teams to score is the way to go in this first period. Now, both teams to score is plus 160. The over 1.5 is minus 148. So you guys know I always look at that. I do think there's momentum with the Florida Panthers. Toronto has had another day's, I think it's only 1 day's rest on them. But I do think with the shift of kind of the style that the Lightning play versus the Panthers, I think the Panthers are just going to come out so fast that they'll catch Toronto early. Now, can they come in and get this upset to start the series? They absolutely could. I think it's not pivotal, but I think Toronto absolutely, to take this series, needs mentally to get this win tonight. This is going to be a hard one. You've got to think, who's coming into this series with a better mindset? Are the Boston Bruins now going to have a letdown spot? Or sorry, the Florida Panthers now have a letdown spot after beating the Boston Bruins? Or will it be the Leafs having a letdown spot after finally getting out of the first round of the playoffs? All the pressure, again, has been on these home teams. We've seen the road team so phenomenally strong in the first round. With plus 150 here for the Florida Panthers, you guys, you know I have to sprinkle a little bit on the road team coming in with so much momentum. They are also coming in with probably inflated egos, inflated heads, thinking that they can come in here after beating the Boston Bruins. And I do think Toronto has been mentally prepared to take on the Boston Bruins, not the Florida Panthers. So I think Toronto almost thinks this is a given now that they're going to take out the Florida Panthers. In my mind, I really do, because they wanted Boston. They wanted to go against the best team in the regular season. So now they've shifted and they have to take on Florida. Florida is just, Florida, it feels like they're playing on house money. And that's exactly what it feels like for this team. Watching this team, they come out so strong, so hard, so fast. I don't see the nerves out of this team. So I love what we've seen out of the Florida Panthers. I'm going to hit them for this first game at plus 150. If they were only plus 120, you guys, I want to hit the Florida Panthers here, because I do think the home ice advantage for Toronto's desire and need to win this first game at home is just so high. Minus 170, though, for the Toronto Maple Leafs, I just can't get behind. I do think the best bet in this game is both teams to score in the first period at plus 160. I also think the over 1.5, but I will be sprinkling on the Florida Panthers. Can't not tell you that. Montour has been absolutely lights out for the Florida Panthers. I know we talked about Matthew Tkachuk so much, but Montour has been game-changing. He was game-changing in the last game. He had 6 shots on goal and 2 goals in that final game versus the Boston Bruins. So the Florida Panthers wouldn't be here without Montour. So we got to look at his shots on goal tonight, giving him over 2.5 shots on goals, coming in at minus 130. I do think he gets those shots tonight on Samsonov. Samsonov is so phenomenally strong, though, you guys. I think these goalies get hit early. I'm nervous with the full game total over, but that first period I do think is where we see those goals. Now, William Nylander for the Toronto Maple Leafs has been so phenomenal. Over 3.5 shots on goal tonight is actually plus 102. Kind of scares me a little. In the last 4 games versus the Lightning, he had 3, 4, 3, and 7 shots on goal. And those 3 shots on goal came in a game where there was only 22 shots by Toronto. So I do think he has every ability to get 4 shots in this one versus the Florida Panthers, who do allow more shots and really do rely on their goaltender. They have been doing a better job defensively getting those block shots since we saw the last couple of weeks of regulation rolling into the playoffs. But I do think Toronto will find a way. Toronto is so stacked, you guys. And people are saying they're going to win the cup now, which I don't know. I don't know if I believe. Let's see how they start off this series versus the Florida Panthers. But we got Ryan O'Reilly, Tavares, Austin Matthews, Nylander, Marner. There's so much talent across the board on Toronto that they really are going to come out strong. Now looking at the Florida Panthers, so much talent as well. You got Tkachuk, Montour, Barkov, Reinhart, Bennett. You just got a loaded team on both sides. So I do think we'll see a more physical game out of the Florida Panthers. In this one, they're going to be getting those hard hits. I do think we see a lot of penalties as these two go at it, especially in these first couple of games. So, you guys, it's going to be a good one. Buckle up. I can't wait to see it. New series and new money. Let's get this money today. You like the home teams in round 2. Okay, Lesbian. Matt, happy Tuesday to you as well. Let's make some freaking money. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, Kevin, if it did go over the 6.5 either. I'm just a little nervous with that. We saw how strong the Toronto Maple Leafs were able to play in that last game when they decided to lock down. I don't expect it to be a lockdown like that. The goaltending between these two is so phenomenally strong that I think that is the only reason that we'd stay under the 6.5 if both of these goaltenders have just an absolute phenomenal night. I do think in the first game and the second game, we look at those first periods. We look at them to be hit early as these goaltenders really settle into the series. So we will see what happens in this one. I just like the over 1.5 in the first period. We do have a stronger power play and penalty kill out of the Toronto Maple Leafs. So Florida needs to stay out of the frickin' box, you guys. Absolutely pivotal in this team. Now, both those team totals, the Panthers team total over 2.5 is minus 152. Too juice for me to touch. Toronto over 3.5, minus 122. I'm just not willing to touch it at minus 122 either in this one. But I do think first period to the over. Now, goal scorers, you guys, we have to look at Austin Matthews for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Minus 120 for an anytime goal tonight. In his last 4 games versus the Florida Panthers, he has 5 goals, and he has, what does he have for shots on goal? 4, 5, 5, and 4. So he's getting those shots, but his shots on goal tonight is over 4.5 at minus 108. I don't like it. If it was 4 or more, or sorry, 4 plus, I would hit it, or 3.5. Over 3.5 shots on goal, because we have that opportunity for him to be held to 4. I do think the anytime goal, though, at minus 120 is where you want to go. The last game, he got 1. The game before that, he got 1. The game before that, he got 2. And the game before that, he got 1. So I do think Austin Matthews finds the back of the net for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. So the best bets in this game, you got to take Montour over 2.5 shots on goal at minus 130. Austin Matthews for the anytime goal at minus 120. Nylander shots on goal over 3.5. Those are the 3 props. And then I'm going to take the over 1.5 in the first period at minus 148. And both teams to score in the first period at plus 160. I'm going to sprinkle on the Florida Panthers at plus 150 to get the win. The Seattle Kraken and the Dallas Stars. Man, you guys, 9:30 Eastern. It is going to be on between these two teams, and I cannot freaking wait to see how this series unfolds. We've got 2 phenomenal goaltenders here, and I do think this is a goaltending duel here between these two. Grubauer coming in here, just playing absolutely lights out versus the Colorado Avalanche. I cannot believe how strong we saw him. And then Jake Ottinger versus the Minnesota Wild. He just got better and better and better as that series progressed. We do have strong defense here with the Dallas Stars. They've been doing a phenomenal job of limiting their opponent's ability to get these goals. In round 1 of the series, they only allowed an average of 2.33 goals. And Jake Ottinger in that first round had a save percentage of .929 and 2.01 goals against average. The last time out for the Dallas Stars versus the Wild, they were able to get 33 shots on goal on the Minnesota Wild. When we look at the Seattle Kraken here, their way of winning these games versus the Avs is not to get in a shootout. They do not want to get in a shootout with the Stars. If this is a high-scoring game, I think it's because the Dallas Stars find Grubauer's weakness. Grubauer is so phenomenally strong, you guys. He won. I think, in my opinion, he really did do everything in him to get that win in the first series versus Colorado. If he hadn't stood on his head the way he did, the amount of high danger shots that he was able to protect was absolutely outstanding. So he has an average goals against average of 2.85. Now, the problem with Seattle in this is that they they really haven't been scoring a lot of goals. So they have to win this in a low-scoring one. They, in round one, averaged that 2.57 goals per game. They need to score in this one on Ottinger if it's a high-scoring game, and I just don't see it unfolding that way. So they had 27 shots in their last game in that win over the Avs. Win or lose this game, I don't see the Seattle Kraken getting 3 goals. I think this is a 2-1 style game. This could even be a 1-1 game going to OT. I do not see this being a 3-2 game. I see this one being super low scoring. For people who don't like defensive, hard-hitting battles, this is not going to be the series for you, I don't think, unless the Dallas Stars break out. Because Dallas can win a high-scoring or low-scoring game, in my opinion. The Kraken, and if the Kraken have a fighting chance, this needs to be a 2-1 game. Jake Ottinger has been so phenomenally strong, and Grubauer has been so phenomenally strong. So Jared McCann still not available for this game. Hopefully for the Seattle Kraken, he is back from the next. And that's thanks to Cale Makar. You guys can all thank Cale Makar in the first round of the playoffs for taking Jared McCann out. Here, he got that huge hit on him, which was just as dirty as anything. And I've always loved Cale Makar. He got suspended for the one game, did come back. Seattle was still able to beat the Avs with Makar back in the lineup, but McCann's still paying the price for that hit, and the Seattle Kraken still paying the price for that hit. So give me the Kraken's team total under 2.5. I do think the Dallas Stars, with the rest advantage, they've had 3 days off here, can come in and score in that first period. And we know the Seattle Kraken have been scoring first in their matchups versus Colorado. I think things shift on them in this game. I think we get a fast goal on Grubauer by the Dallas Stars, just the rest of Dallas Stars team. And it's a 1-0 first period. So I like the under 1.5 in the first period. And we finish this game either 1-1 going to overtime, or this is a 2-1 win here for the Dallas Stars. 3-1, could it hit? It could if we get an empty netter, but I do think this is a super low-scoring game. Could it be a 3-2? Yeah, absolutely, but it still keeps us, the Kraken's team total, under 2.5 in this one. Now, looking at who has the ability to get the assists out on the ice for the Dallas Stars, we've got Hines out there. He can get 1 or more assists, so 1+ assists, plus 124. His shots on goal, he had 4 in the last game versus the Wild and 1 goal, and he's had 3 assists in the 2 prior games versus the Wild. So I do think Hines is someone to look at for assists here for the Dallas Stars. James Robinson had an assist and in all 3 of his last 3 games versus the Wild, and 2 in game 2. So his assists are something to look at as well tonight, as well as his shots on goal. The majority of those games versus Wild, he was able to put up 4 shots on goal. So over 3.5 shots on goal for Robinson. Tonight's coming in at -106. And you guys know, in low-scoring games like this, you have a better chance at hitting those shots on goal. Hines' numbers, I'm not loving. So if you look at him, it would be for the assist. If you look at Jason Robertson here for the Stars, definitely his shots on goal over 3.5. Now, I tried to find shots on goal ability for the Seattle Kraken, just not finding anything I love, and I think the Dallas Stars will limit the Kraken a little bit more in this one. Jordan Eberle, shots on goal, he was over 1.5 at -215, so you guys know we can't hit that. Now, it is to note the last time these 2 teams played, we did see in the regular season an overtime game here for the Seattle Kraken, getting a 5-4 win. But these teams have just really settled down. In that last game out, we saw 29 shots on goal for the Dallas Stars, and the Seattle Kraken had 27 shots on goal. Now, Joey Ducard was in goal for the Seattle Kraken, so it wasn't Grubauer here, and the Stars did have Jake Ottinger. So Seattle was able to get that win with a weaker goalie in net than Grubauer. But I just see the change as we go into playoff hockey. I do think the home ice advantage of Dallas is huge here. And with both of these goaltenders being so solid, you guys, and I don't know if either can go over their numbers just because I don't know how many shots on goal we're going to see. So I'm going to stay off the goalie props in this game. It's going to be a doozy. That is for sure. Toronto money line and Warriors money line. Okay. Let's let's recap these games, you guys. Not much to recap. That is everything I'm liking. It has to be, for me, the Florida Panthers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Give me the Panthers with a sprinkle on that money line. Give me the over 1.5 in the first period at -148. Give me both teams to score in the first period at +160. Nylander over 3.5 shots on goal for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Austin Matthews anytime goal at -120. Give me Montour over 2.5 shots on goal at -130. I did say both teams to score in the first period, right? That is one of my favorites. And then the Seattle Kraken and the Dallas Stars. I like the first period under 1.5. I like the Kraken's team total under 2.5, win or lose. I do only see 2 goals here for the Seattle Kraken. The Dallas Stars first period puck line, though, I do think they get up 1 goal in that first period. Grubauer lets in 1. After playing such a hard series versus the Avs. That's at +150 for the Dallas Stars on that puck line, coming in with the rest. 2 great goalies, so I can't hit the goalie props here, you guys. I do think this one stays under that total, but I like the Kraken's team total to the under. The best, Jason Robertson, for his shots on goal over 3.5 at -106. For the Dallas Stars, and Hines, if you're looking at someone for an assist, you can get him for 1 or more assists tonight at +124. No parlay, you guys. Not going to hit it. You got Grubauer over 27.5 saved shots. And I see this is my problem with taking the saved shots tonight, Joe, is how many chances are the Seattle Kraken's defense going to allow Dallas to shoot on them? I do think this is a strong game with both of these defenses. I do think that comes into play. I could see the Seattle Kraken really limiting the Dallas Stars' ability to get these shots. So I do think Grubauer can save over that number if the Dallas Stars can hit over that number. My fear is how many shots on goal both of these goaltenders are going to face tonight, because I do look at a defensive battle in this one. But you guys have a wonderful night. Big games tonight, that is for sure. Best bet of the night, I think it's both teams to score in the first period between the Florida Panthers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's coming in at +160. The over 1.5 is -148. So I think if you bet both of those, it's a great opportunity to make some money. I also love Austin Matthews' ability to get a goal on the Florida Panthers. But you guys have a wonderful day. Larry, thank you for being here each and every day, each and every one of you as well for being here. I appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot today. You guys are absolutely the best. I tell you, those Rangers made me so mad last night. I am still fuming about it. But let's see what the Devils can do versus the Carolina Hurricanes. We'll break down those games tomorrow. You guys have a good one. Drop below what you're betting in the comments below on YouTube so everyone can tell. You have a good one. We'll talk to you soon, guys.